Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is Wednesday, September 13th. Hoping for good luck though. um, 7:32 a.m. and just kind of excuse me. The Been having a lot of difficulty lately. I think it's been a challenging time, out of work. That's like a death sentence in America. You know what I mean? But ultimately, it comes to a thing where I think it's definitely a learning experience. You know what I mean? I can kind of get into the details of what's been going on because just different things. I think a lot of this stuff will come out later as to what has been going on. You know what I mean? It's something that well, like Fidel Castro said, history will absolve me. Actually, I'm gonna read that speech. Definitely next episode. But for today, I just wanted to get the ball back rolling because I can stop and start and then find a reason not to do something. But I wanted to go back to some of Mao's poems. Mao Tse Tung, Chairman Mao. So I worked at this, or I kind of off and on work at this restaurant, Spice 28, downtown on 13th and Chestnut, and one of so we call her Lady Boss. I think I might have told about this story before. I don't quite remember what I have said all the time. But I think so I remember when I started working there way back in the days. It must have been over the winter. I had showed, or like kind of close to maybe October or November. I can't remember what I say, but it's just been a lot going on. So, but so she I remember that was the time when I first started, the political organization that I was a part of, and it was interesting because the whole thing with it, it was, first time I was, learning about figures like, my friend Brandon, I mentioned before, Brandon, he was showing me, guys like Huey P. Newton, which I never read fully. Revolutionary Suicide might be worth a read. I can do that too. But ultimately, I had showed the grandmother, so I think Lady Boss's mom, a picture of Mao Tse Tung, and she had looked at me and she was like, "Chairman Mao." And I was like, wow, like the connection to Mao. It's striking. It's striking, what he and others, in that country achieved. For real, like the Long March, even the Great Leap Forward, which I think about sometimes because a lot of people died, but that was kind of like Mao. Like Mao had this, like, I wrestle with him in my head because even though he was a little bit older at that point, he must have been in his maybe in his 60s, like, so he, a lot of the stuff he couldn't do himself, you know what I mean? But like I think what's important to remember is that the people were willing to they were willing to sacrifice, like, literally themselves to build socialism, like to build communism within one lifetime. And that was the people's decision. Like that was they went forward and made literally died, like, all right, we're gonna build, it's not working, I'm gonna die, like, die for. And it's a cause, and that gets to a Baldwinian thing in my head because he says in his article, everybody's protest novel, he gets into a thing where, causes are notoriously bloody, which I wrestle with too, because that's true. But it gets to a thing where, like, at some point, like, I think there has to be a balance between the two, at least in my opinion, because there's such a depth of value of human life, and really on both sides, really with Mao and with Baldwin. Baldwin takes like a super kind of like look into one's heart, like he looks you directly into you, like into your soul, you know what I mean? And I think Mao had that same capacity. Like a lot of these guys that sacrificed so much had that same capacity, but I just would have to learn like more about the nature, because it's because I don't think basically in a lot of ways I don't think Mao was wrong for what he was doing. Several decisions that he made, because for example, like Mao, after Stalin died and the Soviet Union, renounced Stalin, like Mao was like, y'all are wrong, and like went to war with like Russia, and I don't know the particulars, you know what I mean, but I think what's important is that he took a really really very principled like stance on Stalin's death, you know what I mean, and what Stalin achieved in the Soviet Union, and what Stalin helped the Soviet Union achieve, you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, like what was the troubles, you know what I mean, what were some of the difficulties, you know what I mean. I think in China they didn't have some of the scientific study quite down, maybe, it was like so much going on. I guess the Great Leap Forward occurred after the certainly after 47, because that was when the Mao declared the People's Republic of China, you know what I mean, and and so it's just in my head, the Cultural Revolution takes on skipping a little bit forward, takes on a certain nature when you look at these different elements. So we'll kind of see. I'll do more research personally, and kind of like look at these different elements. But I would like to get to some of these poems, because they're beautiful. I mean, they're beautiful, but I'll personally I'll try to write a couple. I'll write a couple, or I'll go back to, or I'll try to read some of my own. But I mean, it's I don't know. But this one's called Ching Kang Mountain. So this was written in fall 1928. Low on the mountain our flags and banners, and on the peak an echo of bugles and drums. Around us 1,000 circles of enemy armies, yet we are rock. No one cracks through our forests of walls, through our fortress of wills joined as one. From the front lines at Pyongyang, the big guns roar, saying the enemy army fled in the night. I like that one. I like that because Mao had this confidence. He was not playing with y'all. He did not. He was not at all. He was like, y'all, what? Y'all stepping to us? What? Like, no, like he was like, I think he was. I mean, it's just he. I mean, it's like he said. Our when when you will something, it's almost like Naruto. There's a will of fire. You know what I mean? But it's like if you could like decide and actually take that step toward what you decide, it does create a sort of like it does create a sort of newness within yourself, but a certain strength, I would say, and a certain intelligence. And so, in this, he's describing a battle, you know, uh, and I'm kind of like from inferencing kind of context clues. Like it seems like he's in the midst of a battle, and you know, he's like they're shooting at the enemy, right? And the enemy flees, and he's describing a victory, you know, and it was the will of the Communist Party of China. I guess it was, and there was different ideas, different ideologies in the party at the time as well, So it's like, but I think it's incredible that Mao was able to like really capture the life of the moment. Our flags and banners, peak and echo, bugle drums. Bugles being like the horns. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's really legendary. It's very legendary, the struggle. It's to describe like this. It's almost like an epic quest, like really like borderline Shakespearean. You know what I mean? Because not that Shakespearean, or I would have to look into some of the different. There's Chinese, playwrights, and so certainly Chinese playwrights of today, which I think is, something worth looking at, especially in a time. I think, I haven't been following too much of the news lately, which is kind of like I'm kind of paying for it a little bit. But, I saw that Joe Biden just had a summit for the, not celebrating, but kind of, but like, kind of like, looking at or it was about the 9/11 flying the plane the suicide plane. And what's interesting about that is that he just he had his whatever speech in Alaska, which I, kind of immediately see as a provocation, because he, man, it's just disappointing, because you're right at the border, basically, between America, really Canada as well, and Russia, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, well, yeah. I mean, it's just like, why would you put yourself in? Why would you put yourself there? 9/11 happened in New York. You know what I mean? And so it's like, in my opinion, I think that you're causing great difficulty for yourself in your own country. Your country is impoverished. Your country is almost every day somebody's getting killed. In Germantown alone, in West Oak Lane alone, people going missing. You know what I mean? Every day somebody's, last seen head toward Atlantic City. Are you serious? And so now you want to have a memorial for 9/11 in Alaska? Get your head together. I mean, it's so I think that's why it's important to kind of understand who the quote enemy is, because you don't. I mean, because they're not. Because they're really not. You'll find out. I mean, I think that was part of the thing with this cultural revolution. I'd have to look into it more. But it's like, well, who is like? I feel like the question sometimes the person who wants to achieve a revolution asks themselves is like, well, who is the enemy? But sometimes I think we miss, well, what is the enemy too? You know what I mean? So I think ultimately it comes to a thing where, like, you know, first of all, my biggest enemy is myself. And second of all, you know, it's the, you know, people that, you know, it's when someone gets in your way when you want to achieve something. Like, for example, like, you want to, if you want to achieve, how can I say, if you want to achieve, like, unity, or if you want to achieve, like, this idea, or you want to achieve, like, quote, progress, you know what I mean? You have, those are things that you have to define for yourself, but it's also like you have to come together with others to define it, because it's not just, okay, Joe Biden says, Jacob, for example, I am lazy, or, you know, he said historically, I'm a super predator, so for me to not be a predator, a super predator, right? You know what I mean? And that really didn't have a color coordination on it, you know. But my whole thing with it is that if you create an enemy, the enemy will live. Like, it's all this, you know. It's kind of like what Baldwin says, but, you know, the enemy will appear, whether he's real or not. You know, he'll appear for you. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with what Joe Biden is doing. Because, I mean, has there been any has Chinese soldiers landed on America? You know, went up to Alaska. You know what I mean? You know, it's not that. That's not what's happening. There's American soldiers training the Azov battalion. There's American soldiers, you know, in West Germany or East Germany. You know, there's you know, we have African, it's American soldiers, or American, you know, people that are, you know, soldiers, whatever, in Africa. I don't know. I mean, what do you really want me to say? I mean, you know, America's biggest enemy is ourselves. You know, our biggest enemy is ourselves. Our biggest enemy is what we have done to our own country. So I don't know. You know, you can't sit up here and act like, oh, you know, this and that and the third and you know, oh, 9/11, and you don't care. You're showing me you don't care. If you cared about, you know, your country, you'd bring all these people back to America. You would develop America, and you'd have and you would create peace in your country. But you don't. But you don't do that. So I can't show my sympathy to you. You know, this is my sympathy toward, you know, figures like Joe Biden. You know, governmental figures that are, you know, involved in this crisis that's occurring in Ukraine. If you know, if Ukraine cared about its citizens, it would develop its country. You'd pull back, right? You wouldn't be killing Russian speakers. You wouldn't be killing like America, you wouldn't be going to war with Russia. You started the conflict. You can blame Russia for this or Russia for that, but I saw the Oliver Stone documentary where it was NED that funded the Azov battalion. Am I supposed to now what? What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to hop up and say, oh, la, 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 la. You know what I mean? No, sorry, no, I'm not. So I think that I think this is a clear cut case of Joe Biden's got his money tied up. Joe Biden's family has got his money tied up with with the NED and with Nazis. They Nazis. I don't know what other way to put it. We fought them. We fought. Now we justifying Nazis. Well, there's Nazis everywhere. No, we cannot. How can we justify this? To me, it makes no sense. It really makes zero sense. You know what I mean? I've taken a little bit of a detour. I know I was reading the poetry. I think so. It's just like, but just to kind of air it out a little bit. I think that our biggest enemy in our country is ourselves. Is what we do to each other. Is what we do to ourselves. Yes, you know what I mean. And I'll say it. I'll say it my damn self. I'm my biggest enemy. And I also think that when we get in each other's way, that's another great, huge, big enemy. You know what I mean? I think I'm not gonna sit up here and say like, oh, just that I'm my biggest enemy. Because it is a thing where yeah, we have to develop ourselves. Yes, we do have to develop ourselves, but we also I think we can learn to tell each other the truth. At least be honest. At least tell something honest. You know what I mean? That being said, there's a lot going on. I hope one some of these podcasts I hope will be more personal, but I different things I gotta take care of. So that's kind of like what that poem made me think of. I think that slamming. Oh man. I mean, I think it's kind of like. I think we gotta learn to think of these quote great figures as human beings, like new human beings, really. Because think about it. You think about your own life, like watching somebody die, watching your friends die, like it's like, or watching like the people that you love like being blown to bits, or like what does that do to you? Like because you want to make a better world for your people. You know what I mean? So it comes to a thing where, like, there does have to be this. There is a certain light, I would say, in Mao, because it's like no one cracks through our fortress of walls, through our fortress of wills joined as one, through our fortress of wills joined as one, and it's just like, I think that. Our fortress of wills, like, I think there's light. I think there's a real, like, a fortress of wills. To me, that looks like it's like a huge, like, you ever see, like, like one of those, like, nice, like, kind of like churches, or, like, those nice, like, even the mosques or the synagogues, like it's like, or like one of these great buildings, you know what I mean, that has this like corner, you know what I mean, and that corner, like it's been up for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, you know, and it's like it. I feel like that's what the fortress of our wills. He said, I think fortress of our wills. I think that's what that would look like. It would look um, like that great building, that great like just that's sorry the spirit, you know, of the wills would look, you know, joined together would look like that. You know what I mean? It'd be easier to draw it, you know. But yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I think on that poem. But so the next one is warlords. Um, Wind and cloud. Oh, sorry. Let me take my time. This one is written, says September or October 1929. Wind and clouds suddenly rip the sky, and warlords clash. War again. Let me start that one more time. Wind and clouds suddenly rip the sky, and warlords clash. War again. Rancor rains down on men who dream of a pillow of yellow barley. Yet our red banners leap over the calm Ting River on our way to Shanghai and to Lung Yin, the Dragon Cliff. The golden vase of China is shattered. We mend it, happy as we give away its meadows. That's deep. I like that one. Because, you know, happy as we give it away its meadows. I don't know. For me, it comes back. I watched a TikTok video. TikTok, I think, is a beautiful, I mean, beautiful app. I haven't had a phone in a while, so I haven't really been on it to kind of see what's been going on. But I think it's broken. But I think that I like it because, well, it's like happy as we give away its meadows. Like, I think maybe there's like a retreat, like they're you know, giving away, but they're still happy. We mend it, happy as we give it away its meadows. I don't know, like it's just because the whole thing. There was a monk, a Buddhist, might have even been Tibetan. Beautiful thing. You know what I mean? But the whole thing with it was, you know, he had said, you know, do not worry, you know, do what makes you happy. I said, dang. Really, I said, damn, because it's like, I think at the end of the day, and that's why I kind of come back to that. I think at the end of the day, it does kind of come to this happiness thing, and there is a, you know, from what I, you know, my studies, you know, at that time of China, you know, which, you know, part of that political organization, which I will talk about if folks really want me to. I'll talk about, you know, what's going on, but it comes to a thing where I like this. You know, like what make, you know, do what makes you happy. I think, well, that's personally what has brought me to this place. Personally, you know, like doing what makes you happy. And it's like, so the last line goes, the golden vase of China is shattered. We mend it, happy as we give away its meadows. And so it's like, I like that because, you know, it's like to rebuild one's own country. to find to draw happiness in such despair. Um, there's such a great honor, and there's such a like a great like a there is a certain joy um, in like wow, like my country is like falling apart, like burning, but I have the ability to like renew it, like to create to recreate it, through self-sacrifice, um, of yellow barley. Yeah, that's deep. It's it comes to a thing in my head because I can see it because it's like I guess they're struggling against warlords, but they're still gonna sleep over the Ting River. They're still. I guess this isn't maybe necessarily. I don't know when the Long March occurred. I think it was in 34 to 30. I think it was the 39, and then it was like 13 years, and then they whooped them so bad. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was a good time, but it was crazy. But I feel like, or I guess I think that, wind and clouds suddenly rip the sky and warlords clash again. Wind and clouds suddenly rip the sky and the warlords clash again. I think I see that. I see wind and clouds suddenly rip the sky because it's like wind and clouds suddenly rip the sky. Rip the sky. I guess it's like this at this moment that he's describing, like it's cloudy like today, and it seems to like I guess in my head it's like the clouds are stopping the clouds are stopping Mao from seeing the sky, but then he kind of like there's an interesting contrast, where it's like and warlords clash, because there's this beauty in the sky, but the warlords are fighting, you know what I mean, and like the men they just want to sleep. The next line, rancor rains down on men who dream of a pillow of yellow barley. They rest in a field, you know what I mean? And then they continue their journey, yet our red banners leap over the calm Ting rivers. And I think what's interesting about that, or I think, what's happening, right, like, they cross this river. And he's like it's like kind of like seeing the Chinese Revolution through Mao's eyes, which I really like. Yet our red banners leap over the calm Ting River on our way to Shanghai and to Lungyang, the Dragon Cliff. The golden vase of China is shattered, and we mend it, happy as we give away its meadows. So I think happy as we give away, like, oh, wow. This is such a great sadness. Give away its meadows. Like, we are giving away China to the enemy. It's so sad. I feel it because it's like, when you have to, like, run from somebody that's stronger than you, somebody like, has a larger force or might be more, like more smarter, more better or whatever, however they, whatever. Or there's a certain, but you still can draw happiness from it. I think that's like so crazy. I think that's one of the saddest things. Like sad, not that I feel sorry for Mao, but sad because Mao is like clearly feels the sacrifice of having to give away like the meadow, but like, but he feels it, but there's a certain, like, there's a certain positivity, there's a certain, like, joy, like, kind of like going back. There's a certain joy um, in in him, and he's like looking at, I guess he's looking at his people as well, because they're like creating a new country. 1929, the People's Republic of China didn't occur until 47, or I'm getting that date right, I'll have to check. But I think that yeah, it's deep. It's definitely deep. So the golden vase of China is shattered. Like the depth of the sadness and agony. I mean, from which it occurs, and I think it's in my feeling that he felt it, and he was able to achieve a new country. So it's just I mean, as the book goes on, we'll kind of see what what he says, but I could read one more. Yeah, why not? We're we're here with it, But let me see. Something else I want to say. The golden vase of China is shattered. We mend it. Happy as we give its meadows, give away its meadows. I don't know. I guess I want for my country to achieve something so special. A happiness and joy, like, in the face of our own agony, our own immiseration, and our own degradation. That we can, through standing up for ourselves. So this one's called, this is October 11th, 1929, and it has an interesting title. I just, looking at it, but it's Ninth Day of the Ninth Moon. So just this is from a book called The Poems of Mao Tse Tung. Mao Tse Tung. It is not the firmament, but man who grows old. For the 9th day of the 9th moon comes each year. Today at the double yang, yellow flowers on the battlefield are deeply fragrant. One day, each autumn, a wind batters the land. It is not spring light, yet better than spring, for the sky and the seas are an enormous frosty horizon under the dome. I'm going to read that one more time, because sometimes when I read, personally, my mind can go in different directions. I can zone out while I'm reading, multitasking, but let me try one more time. It is not the firmament, which I have to look up what that means, but man who grows old. For the 9th day of the 9th moon comes each year. Today at the double yang, yellow flowers on the battlefield are deeply fragrant. One day, each autumn, a wind batters the land. It is not spring light, yet better than spring, for the sky and seas are an enormous frosty horizon under the dome. October 11th, 1929. That's deep. I love that. That made me really emotional, because it's just so. The way what he's capturing in this. Man, that's like a super. Wow, I really didn't think I'd have to take on so much today. No, just that first line. It is not firmament, which I think means just firmament. I can look it up, but my gut says that it's like, like a building, like a firmament. Oh wow. So firmament is a noun, literary. It says the heavens or the sky, especially when regarded as a tangible thing. And so I think what's interesting is not the sky, right? But man who grows old. The sky doesn't grow old. What was going on, man? I feel you, man. I feel you. So for the 9th day of the 9th moon, so I guess it's the 9th month, comes each year. Oh, wow. He's like, that sun, that moon rises. Whoa, Mao! Why? Today at the double yang, yellow flowers on the battlefield are deeply fragrant. Wow. On the battlefield, you can see he smells the battlefield. Still smells the beauty of the flowers. On the battlefield. I mean, what is going on, But one day each autumn, wind batters the land. It is not spring light, yet better than spring. For the sky and seas are an enormous frosty horizon under the dome. I have to think about that one. I definitely have to think about that one. Y'all, please let me know what y'all think about that, because I'm kind of like struck, because to still see the beauty, like even though it's hard. Wow. I just, I appreciate that. I think we can draw a lot of strength from what Mao and others achieved. You know what I mean? But I have a couple videos. I got a couple episodes coming up. I really want to read. I really want to read a couple different novels. There's the Baldwin's later novels. Which me and my sister kind of have to go over and discuss, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I think that, I think that ultimately it comes to a thing where, yeah, it's deep. I'm glad. Yeah, I am glad. But thank you guys so much. I hope you guys listened. Let me know what you think. A couple podcast, kind of like goals. I think. So read more of Mao. I think we're gonna come back to Ho Chi Minh's poetry as well. I can give you kind of personal updates about different things that's been going on with me if y'all so desire. There's a lot of different texts that I can read, and I'll touch back on the that hip hop thing, because I'm still wrestling with it in my head, because there's just different people. For that, we would have to talk about Kanye West. I do think he created a certain revolution in hip hop, quote unquote hip hop. Personally, I don't even think it. There's just a splits in that the idea of what it is. You know what I mean? I think Kanye changed the game, changed what it is. On a certain fundamental level. And I think he's been working on that since, probably since he started. You know what I mean? Way back in the days. I think he was just kind of getting, it was... there's just different things. And we'll talk about it. We will talk about it in the next podcast episode. But I think the next one, we'll kind of touch back on Ho Chi Minh. And maybe we'll even do like some spiritual. I went to the Hare Krishna temple up on up the way, and I think that they gave me a Bhagavad Gita, so I think that we could read that too. We can do that too. So yeah, we got a lot on our plate. I hope everybody has a beautiful day. All right, 3 goals I hope everybody can set. Do one thing today that makes you happy. That'll make you like smile, and see what happens. Maybe it didn't make you as happy as you thought it would, or maybe it made it happy. Maybe it made you happier than what it is. 2, I would say, try to tell the truth one time today. One time. I think I've already failed, basically, because I haven't talked about what's going on with me. But that's fine. We'll work it out. And 3... But wait, the day is long. It's 8:18 a.m., so we'll keep working. And 3, do something new. Try something new. Try to, I don't know, YouTube something, look up something, you know what I mean? Or just, kind of figure out what you... Or just one thing, you're interested in, just look it up on YouTube. A lot of these videos is only 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Maybe it's a little more, or better yet, set a little goal for yourself. See what happens. All right, love you guys. Peace. Ciao.